Alright, kids, today we're learning about David and Goliath. Saul had been king, but he kept disobeying God. So God asked Samuel to find a new king. God said to Samuel, "Go to Bethlehem. There is a man named Jesse with 8 sons. One of them will be the next king." When Samuel first met the sons, he automatically thought the oldest, named Eliab, would be the king that God had chosen. But the Lord said to Samuel, Do not look at it the way he looks, or how big he is. Eliab is not the one I have chosen. The way he looks doesn't matter to me. I look at the heart. Jesse brought more of his sons to meet Samuel, but none of them God had chosen either. Samuel asked Jesse, "Have I met all your sons?" Jesse replied, "I have one son left named David. He's the youngest. He is out looking after my sheep. I will bring him here to meet you." As soon as Samuel saw him, the Lord spoke to him and said, "He is the one." So Samuel anointed him with oil, which is a special way of promising him that he would be the next king. And from that day on, the power of the Lord was on David. David continued to take care of his father's sheep in the field. He didn't have much to do in the field, so he played instruments and wrote songs and poems that you can find in the book of Psalms in your Bible. Meanwhile, Saul was king and ruled over a people called the Israelites. David and his family were also Israelites too. The Israelites weren't getting along with people named the Philistines. The problem with the Philistines was that they had many giants living in that land. One of the strongest and biggest giants was named Goliath. He was over 9 feet tall, which is taller than any person recorded on the Guinness Book of World Records. He would have had to bend down to get through a regular door. Goliath was covered with armor to protect him and carried a big spear. Every morning, for 40 days, he shouted at the Israelites in his big, deep voice, "Hey, you guys, I dare you to find a man to fight me. If he can beat me, we will become your servants. But if I win, you all will become ours." When Saul and his men heard this, they were afraid. The three of the men were David's 3 oldest brothers. They were only ones in David's family who could go fight because they were old enough. When Saul and all his men heard that, they were very afraid. Now David's father Jesse heard about the giant and was worried for his sons. So he called David out of the fields and asked him to take some food to his brothers and report back how they were doing. Now, David's father Jesse had heard about the giant, so David set off to visit his brothers. As he approached them, he heard Goliath shouting in his challenge like he did every morning. "Is someone going to stand up to this man?" David asked. The men in the army. "Then I will fight this Philistine." One of the men overheard this and ran to Saul and told him, "David said that he will fight Goliath." So Saul approached David and said, "You can't fight Goliath. You're a boy, and he's been fighting for many years." But David said to Saul, "I had to fight lions and bears to protect my father's sheep. God help me and keep me safe, and he will keep me safe now." It was too bad that Saul wasn't following God to help him. He didn't know what to do to beat Goliath. Then this young boy named David came and knew what to do in one day and trusted God would help him. That was why God loved David's heart and wanted him to be king. So Saul dressed David in the heavy armor to protect him from Goliath. But David took it off. It was so heavy he could hardly walk, and he knew that God would keep him from harm. So instead, David went to a stream and found 5 smooth stones and put them in his pouch around his waist. And with his sling, he went to Goliath. As David approached Goliath, Goliath looked at David and thought it was a joke. Goliath thought he could easily beat David, and it was funny that Saul would send a small boy to fight him. But David said to him without fear, "You fight with a sword, and I come with God on my side. And today, everyone will know that there is one true God in this land." Goliath didn't care what David said and moved closer to attack him. David ran quickly to meet him. Reaching into his pouch, he pulled out a stone. He put it into his slingshot and shot it at Goliath. The stone hit him right between the eyes. Goliath started to lose his balance, and then he fell with a loud thud right on his face. David had done it. He beat the giant Philistine. When the rest of the Philistines saw this, they ran away. They were scared, and David became a hero to all the people in Israel. So that's the story of David and Goliath, kids. I hope you enjoyed and learned something.